On True Crime Threads, we uncover chilling real-life cases stitched with secrets, lies, and shocking truths. In today's story, a dream wedding in Dubai ends in a brutal twist no one saw coming. The Al Noor Hotel in Dubai was glowing that night. A luxurious destination wedding had just taken place. A British businessman, Karim Shahid, had married a beautiful woman named Alina. She was elegant, soft-spoken, and seemed to be everything Karim had dreamed of. Guests from different parts of the world attended their grand wedding. Pictures filled social media, showing a perfect love story coming to life in a desert paradise. But what none of them knew was that beneath the surface, secrets were waiting to explode, secrets that would turn their fairy tale into a nightmare. The wedding was extravagant in every sense. The decor sparkled with gold accents, imported flowers lined the walkways, and a famous violinist flew in from Italy to perform during the dinner. Alina wore a handcrafted gown flown in from Paris, and Karim looked like a royal figure in his designer sherwani. Family and friends toasted to their love, calling them a perfect match. The couple smiled at each other, cut their 5-tiered cake, and danced beneath a dome of fireworks. To the outside world, it was a flawless evening, marking the beginning of a lifetime of happiness. Alina had arrived in Dubai 3 days before the ceremony, staying at a private villa arranged by Karim's team. She appeared reserved, but carried herself with grace. Karim's friends described her as polite and intelligent, though not very open. While many assumed she was just nervous about the upcoming ceremony, no one imagined she was hiding a past carefully buried under layers of charm. Karim's family had met her before the engagement. Everything moved quickly after their meeting in Paris 6 months earlier. Their whirlwind romance surprised many, but Karim was known for making fast, bold decisions in both life and business. The night flowed smoothly from the vows to the reception dinner. No tension, no arguments, and no sign of the tragedy that was just hours away. The newlyweds left the ballroom around midnight and headed toward the top floor where the presidential suite awaited them. Hotel staff had prepared rose petals, champagne, and romantic lighting for their arrival. A photographer snapped a few last-minute pictures before they closed the suite doors behind them. That was the final image of them together, Alina leaning into Karim, both smiling for the camera, completely unaware of what the next few hours would bring. At 7:15 the next morning, housekeeping knocked on their suite door for the scheduled breakfast delivery. There was no response. After multiple unanswered knocks, security was called. What they found inside sent shockwaves across the entire hotel. Alina was lying motionless on the bed, the silk sheets soaked in blood. Her neck showed signs of struggle, and her eyes were wide open. The suite showed no sign of forced entry. The only person unaccounted for was Karim. His personal belongings, including his wallet and phone, were on the table. The closet door hung slightly open. Police were immediately alerted. The suite was sealed, and the hotel locked down all exits. News didn't take long to spread, and within hours, headlines across the country labeled it as a honeymoon horror. No one could understand how a night that started in love could end in murder. The bride was gone, the groom had vanished, and the truth was just beginning to surface. When hotel staff found Alina's body the next morning, her husband was missing. The police immediately launched a citywide search. Karim's passport, wallet, and phone were still in the suite. Surveillance cameras showed him walking down the hallway alone at 3:12 a.m. His face pale, his hands stained. He never left through the front lobby. Investigators searched through nearby court footage and found that Karim had exited through the fire stairs and climbed into a dark vehicle parked at the rear entrance. By the time police traced the license plate, the car was already abandoned on the outskirts of the city, near the desert border. Dubai's police and international agencies were now involved. A media storm followed, with headlines painting Karim as a jealous husband who snapped after the wedding. But when Alina's past began to unravel, the motive suddenly shifted. The presidential suite was turned into a crime scene. Within minutes of the body's discovery, forensic teams combed every corner of the room for fingerprints, fibers, and any sign of struggle. It was clear that Alina had been attacked in her sleep. There were no signs of forced entry or struggle at the suite's entrance. The door had been tampered with, and the balcony was locked from the inside. That left one conclusion: Kareem had been the only other person with her. Footage from the hotel's security system became a crucial piece of the investigation. At 3:12 a.m., Kareem was seen exiting the suite wearing a dark hoodie and holding something wrapped in cloth. He walked calmly through the hallway and avoided the main elevators. Instead, he took the emergency staircase all the way to the basement level. From there, he exited through a rear service door, which had no cameras directly outside, but was partially visible from a nearby alley's court feed. That footage captured Kareem entering a black SUV that had been idling for several minutes. The car belonged to a rental agency in Sharia and was booked under a fake name using prepaid cards. It was later found abandoned near an unpaved road that led into the Rub al Khali Desert. Inside the vehicle, police found a hoodie, a bottle of water, and a hotel room keycard. The windows were dusted with fingerprints, and the floor mats were stained with red marks that later tested positive for blood. No personal documents or electronic devices were recovered. Interpol issued a red notice as speculation grew. Some believed Kareem had committed suicide in the desert. Others thought he had arranged to escape by boat or cross the border into Oman with help. Rumors circulated that his family was hiding him, but police surveillance found no such evidence. As days passed, the story evolved into an international manhunt. The media frenzy intensified. News outlets across Europe and the Middle East ran updates hourly. Kareem's photo appeared on every major news website. Commentators debated whether the murder was a crime of passion or something deeper. But the biggest shock came when authorities began digging into the victim's background, uncovering layers of mystery that changed the entire direction of the case. What first looked like a tragic end to a fairytale wedding was quickly becoming something far more complex, and perhaps more calculated than anyone had first believed. Alina was not her real name. Born as Sana Malik in Lahore, Pakistan, she had vanished from her hometown 10 years earlier under mysterious circumstances. At just 19, she was accused of being involved in a scam ring that targeted wealthy men online. She was arrested but disappeared before the trial. Authorities believed she had fled the country using a fake passport. Over the years, she reinvented herself multiple times, working as a model in Istanbul, a tour guide in Greece, and finally, as a luxury lifestyle coach in London under the name Alina Ray. All this went undetected, even by Kareem, who met her during a business conference in Paris. She told him she was an orphan who grew up in boarding schools and never talked about her past. Kareem, charmed by her beauty and mystery, never asked questions, but someone else had. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a network of aliases connected to Alina. Her fingerprints matched an old record stored in Pakistan's database. From there, a trail unfolded on that traced her movements across several countries over the past decade. She had changed her identity at least 4 times, each time blending into a new life with remarkable precision. What began as a fraud case in Pakistan had transformed into a global web of deception that spanned continents. She used different names, changed her appearance, and even had forged academic certificates and employment histories. In Istanbul, she was known as Layla, a runway model who vanished after a brief scandal involving a stolen credit card. In Athens, she went by Nadia, working for a luxury travel company that catered to billionaires and diplomats. There, she reportedly had access to sensitive personal data and was suspected of stealing client information. Though no charges were ever filed, by the time she arrived in London, she had mastered her presentation, perfect accent, flawless documents, and a clean digital footprint. She became Alina Ray, a poised, confident woman with thousands of followers online and a curated image of sophistication. None of these past lives were visible on surface-level checks. Her online presence was crafted carefully, highlighting charity work, travel blogs, and high-end partnerships. She posed in designer clothes, tagged expensive locations, and kept her interactions vague but captivating. She attended exclusive networking events. Where Kareem first noticed her, he was impressed not just by her looks, but by her ability to hold attention without revealing too much. Their relationship moved fast, with Kareem introducing her to his circle as a rising entrepreneur with a mysterious charm. But behind the flawless photos and soft smiles, Alina was constantly moving, always looking over her shoulder. She changed phone numbers every few months and never kept long-term friends. She claimed it was due to her work schedule, but in reality, it was part of her survival. She was hiding not just from law enforcement, but possibly from the people she had once worked with, people who knew too much or had lost too much because of her. When her background finally came to light, investigators realized the murder might not have just been about betrayal in marriage. The person Kareem married wasn't just a stranger, she was a ghost from several pasts, each more dangerous than the last. Her death, once believed to be the tragic end of a love story, now hinted at unfinished business, vanished identities, and secrets too deep to remain buried. During the wedding, a former acquaintance of Kareem, Adil Hussein, recognized the bride. He quietly pulled Kareem aside during the reception and told him he believed he had seen Alina in Istanbul years ago under a different identity. At first, Kareem dismissed the comment, but that night, curiosity drove him to investigate. He accessed Alina's email while she was in the shower and found dozens of encrypted folders. After hours of guessing passwords, one folder finally opened. Inside were fake IDs, bank transactions, and photos of her with different women Kareem had never seen before. Some files even contained blackmail drafts and contact lists of high-net-worth individuals. The truth shattered Kareem's world. This woman wasn't who she claimed to be, and by midnight, something in him snapped. The moment the deal approached him, Kareem had brushed it off politely, thinking it was a case of mistaken identity. But as the night progressed and the words lingered in his mind, his sense of unease grew. His wife had always been secretive about her early life, offering vague details or steering conversations away when asked. While Kareem had admired her mystery at first, it now felt like something was being hidden on purpose. After returning to their suite, Kareem pretended everything was fine. Alina was tired, still in her makeup and dress, and began preparing for bed. While she was in the shower, Kareem opened her laptop. It wasn't password protected. He clicked through basic folders, finding nothing suspicious, but a hidden folder in the system's directory caught his attention. It required a password, and after several failed attempts, one of her old usernames worked. What he discovered inside was more than just shocking, it was disturbing. The folder was filled with scanned documents from different countries. Multiple passports bore Alina's face, but with different names and nationalities. There were bank records showing large wire transfers, some with references like consultation fee and client settlement. Kareem kept digging, driven by disbelief and fear. Then came the photos of Alina with older men in suits, on yachts, at conferences, sometimes in hotel rooms. One photo showed her holding a briefcase, with a timestamp matching a known financial scandal in Switzerland. Then came the emails. Many were drafts, never sent, but clearly written for the purpose of extortion. They hinted at threats, secrets, and demands for silence. Several drafts included the names of people Kareem knew from the business world. It became obvious she was not only running from something, but had possibly been operating within an elaborate scheme to manipulate, deceive, and steal. Kareem's hands trembled as he sat back in the chair. The woman in the shower was not a victim of her past. She was the architect of it. He didn't confront her immediately. Instead, he copied files onto a USB drive and paced the room silently, consumed by rage, confusion, and betrayal. Every moment they had shared now seemed like a lie. Every smile, every word, every plenty were all part of a script she had mastered over the years. By the time Alina stepped out of the bathroom, something had changed. Kareem's silence wasn't just shock. It was a storm building beneath the surface, one that would explode before dawn. The truth, no matter how deeply buried, had finally surfaced, and the truth had just rewritten everything Kareem thought he knew. 3 days after the murder, Kareem was found wandering the Rub al Khali desert, dehydrated and delirious. He surrendered without resistance and was taken into custody. During the interrogation, He confessed everything: how he confronted Alina, how she admitted her past, and how he claimed she tried to run when he said he would go to the police. In a fit of rage and betrayal, he strangled her. But the case didn't end there. Forensic experts discovered that some of the encrypted files pointed to a larger international fraud network that Alina may have been trying to escape from. Her murder might not have just been a crime of passion. It may have been a desperate act to silence someone before her secrets endangered more lives. Though Karim was sentenced to life in prison, questions still remain. Was Alina a victim of her own past, or a manipulator who finally crossed the wrong man? The heat was unbearable when the rescue team spotted Karim. His clothes were torn, his lips cracked, and his steps barely steady. He had no supplies, no plan, and no way to survive on his own. The police helicopter flew him back to Dubai under heavy guard. Upon arrival, he was rushed to a hospital, where doctors treated him for dehydration and exposure. As soon as he was stable, detectives began questioning him. They expected denial, excuses, or silence. Instead, Karim told them everything. He explained that after seeing the files on Alina's laptop, he felt like his entire life had collapsed in a single moment. He confronted her, and she didn't deny anything. According to Karim, she became defensive and told him it was all in the past. When he threatened to report her to authorities, he claimed she moved toward the door to leave. He said he grabbed her out of panic, and the struggle ended with her falling unconscious. He claimed he didn't mean to kill her, but the medical examiner confirmed clear signs of intentional force. The marks on her neck told a different story. After the murder, Karim said he left the hotel in shock, driven by fear, shame, and confusion. He had arranged for a rented vehicle to be available in case the wedding attracted unwanted media attention. He used it to escape the city, driving aimlessly into the desert. For nearly 2 days, he tried to disappear into the vast emptiness, but he eventually collapsed from exhaustion. As investigators continued combing through the digital evidence recovered from Alina's devices, new leads emerged. Some of the documents referenced shell companies, hidden accounts, and conversations with individuals under surveillance in multiple countries. Authorities in Europe and Asia were alerted. It became clear that Alina had once been part of an operation far more complex than anyone had imagined. Her multiple identities weren't only for hiding, they were tools for accessing networks, clients, and classified financial circles. In the end, Karim stood trial. His defense team claimed emotional trauma and provocation. The prosecution argued it was cold-blooded murder. The jury delivered a guilty verdict, and the court sentenced him to life imprisonment without parole. But beyond the courtroom, the mystery lived on. Some believe Alina was trying to leave that life behind and had truly wanted to start fresh with Karim. Others believe she had never stopped working for those hidden networks, and Karim's discovery made her a liability. Whether she was planning to run or start over will never be known. All that remains is a shattered love story, a woman with too many names, and a husband who chose violence when faced with the truth.